Hello, and welcome back to the Valerium Stories channel. The water received Alara not as an intrusion, but as a homecoming, cool and weightless. Its gentle pressure embracing her like a memory she'd almost forgotten. She descended slowly, the surface light fracturing above her into 1,000 dancing coins of gold that grew smaller, fainter, with each meter of depth. This was her ritual, not a dive in the physical sense, for her body rested safely in a bed 3,000 miles away. In a small coastal cottage where the wind carried the scent of salt and pine, but a journey of recollection. A deliberate sinking into the oceanic cathedral she had come to know over 4 decades of research, of pre-dawn boat launches and midnight watches, of hands numb with cold sorting plankton samples and heart pounding with awe at the sight of a whale's eye meeting hers across the water's shimmering boundary. As sleep pulled at the edges of her consciousness with soft, insistent fingers, she let herself sink deeper, into the blue silence where facts became feeling and science became song, where the taxonomy of wonder required no Latin names. At 30 meters, the reef emerged from the gloom like a city waking at dawn, a metropolis of impossible architecture built not by hands or machines, but by countless generations of tiny animals working in patient, collective purpose across centuries. Each coral structure, the branching staghorn, the brain-like mounds, the delicate lace fans, was the accumulated labor of polyps, soft-bodied creatures no larger than a pinhead, each one a delicate flower animal with a ring of stinging tentacles surrounding a single opening that served as both mouth and anus. These polyps secreted calcium carbonate exoskeletons beneath their tissues, layer upon microscopic layer, building upward toward the sun over lifetimes that stretched beyond human comprehension. She remembered her first dive on the Great Barrier Reef at 22. How she'd mistaken the corals for colorful rocks until her instructor gently touched a branch, and the entire colony retracted into its stony fortress in a synchronized wave of self-preservation. Corals were animals, not plants, a truth that still carried the power to astonish her after all these years. And within those transparent tissues lived symbiotic algae called zooxanthellae, golden-brown microscopic partners that performed photosynthesis in the sun-dappled shallows, trading sugars and oxygen for shelter and carbon dioxide in a marriage so intimate it defined the reef's very existence. When waters warmed even 1 or 2 degrees beyond their tolerance, the stressed corals would expel these vital tenants in a desperate act of self-preservation, turning bone white in a phenomenon called bleaching, a ghostly transformation that signaled not death but profound distress, a warning written in calcium and light. Yet despite covering less than 0.1% of the ocean floor, these fragile, animal-built cities supported at least 1/4 of all marine species. A biodiversity miracle constructed not on competition alone, but on reciprocity, on the quiet understanding that survival often meant sharing space, sharing resources, sharing life itself. A parrotfish drifted past, its beak-like teeth, a fusion of individual teeth into a powerful scraping tool, methodically grazing algae from the coral surface in a relationship both destructive and essential. Without this constant pruning, algae would smother the corals, blocking the sunlight their zooxanthellae required. Nearby, a pair of clownfish darted between the stinging tentacles of a magnificent sea anemone, their bodies coated in a special mucus that rendered them immune to the venomous nematocysts that would paralyze or kill other fish. This mutualism, where both species derived clear benefit, was one of 3 fundamental symbiotic relationships that structured life in the sea. Alongside commensalism, where one benefits and the other remains unaffected, and parasitism, where one gains at the other's expense. Alara watched as a cleaner shrimp set up its station on a prominent rock outcrop, waving its long antennae in a rhythmic dance that signaled its services to the community. Within minutes, a parade of larger fish arrived, groupers, snappers, even a cautious moray eel, opening their gills and mouths to allow the tiny crustacean to pluck parasites, dead tissue, and food scraps with meticulous care. No fish ever ate the cleaner. This was a covenant written in evolution. a trust that transcended hunger. Deeper she sank, past the sunlit euphotic zone where photosynthesis thrived, into the twilight mesopelagic realm where light became memory and color bled away into shades of blue and gray. Here, between 200 and 1,000 meters, the rules of existence shifted dramatically. Many deep-sea creatures had evolved flexible, gelatinous bodies with minimal hard parts to withstand crushing pressure that would flatten a submarine like paper, pressure that increased by 1 atmosphere for every 10 meters of depth. Others developed enormous, light-gathering eyes to capture every precious photon of fading sunlight, while some species had abandoned vision entirely over evolutionary time. Their eye sockets sealed shut in perpetual darkness, navigating instead by lateral lines that detected minute water movements, or by chemical senses, so acute they could taste a single molecule of potential prey drifting kilometers away. Camouflage took strange, beautiful forms here. Many animals appeared red or black, colors that rendered them effectively invisible, since red wavelengths vanish completely within the first 100 meters of depth, absorbed by water molecules before they can reflect back to a predator's eye. Others achieved near-perfect transparency, their bodies composed largely of water and clear tissues, vanishing entirely within the water column they called home, a disappearing act perfected over millions of years. Then came the lights. First a single flicker to starboard, then a constellation blooming across the abyssal blackness, a galaxy of living stars igniting in the eternal night. Bioluminescence. Thousands upon thousands of marine organisms possessed this cold fire, bacteria drifting in clouds, single-celled dinoflagellates that lit the waves with ethereal blue when disturbed, jellyfish trailing luminous ribbons, bristling worms, crustaceans, sea stars, flashlight fish with light organs beneath their eyes, even certain species of sharks. Some squid and fish harbored colonies of bioluminescent bacteria in specialized light organs, farming their own lanterns through symbiosis, feeding the microbes nutrients while harvesting their glow for communication, predation, or defense. Anglerfish females dangled glowing lures on modified dorsal spines before their cavernous, tooth-lined mouths, mimicking vulnerable prey to draw curious victims within striking distance. Others, like the hatchetfish, flashed counter-illumination along their silvery bellies, producing light that precisely matched the faint downwelling sunlight from above, to erase their silhouette when viewed from below against the dim surface, becoming invisible to predators lurking in the depths beneath them. An entire language of light unfolded in the darkness, pulsing signals for mating, sudden brilliant flashes to startle predators, steady glows to lure prey, all written in cold fire, a conversation conducted in photons across the lightless miles. She passed a flapjack octopus, its gelatinous body flattened like a pancake, pulsing gently through the water with an otherworldly grace. Octopuses possessed approximately 500 million neurons, more than many mammals, making them remarkably intelligent among invertebrates, capable of problem-solving that rivaled some primates. Even more astonishing, each sucker on their 8 arms contained about 10,000 neurons dedicated specifically to taste and touch, meaning an octopus could essentially taste everything it touched, reading the chemical signature of its environment through its entire body surface. They solved complex puzzles, navigated mazes with ease, used coconut shells as portable shelters, and might even experience something akin to dreaming. Scientists had observed color and texture changes rippling across their skin during rest periods, as if replaying the day's experiences. Minds so alien, yet so complex that marine biologists sometimes called them aliens on Earth, consciousness having evolved along a completely separate branch of life's tree. A whale song vibrated through the water then, not as sound heard, but as resonance felt in her very bones, a low-frequency aria that traveled hundreds of miles through the ocean's so-far channel, a horizontal layer where sound waves became trapped and propagated with minimal loss. Humpback whales undertook migrations exceeding 12,000 kilometers annually, the longest journeys of any mammal on Earth. traveling between polar feeding grounds rich in krill and small fish to tropical breeding lagoons where warm, shallow waters offered protection for vulnerable calves. Gray whales made similarly epic voyages along the eastern Pacific coastline, covering approximately 12,000 miles round trip from Arctic waters to the sheltered bays of Baja California, a journey their calves would complete within months of birth. These migrations were timed with celestial precision, guided in part by Earth's magnetic field, a sense sea turtles also possessed with astonishing accuracy, allowing females to navigate back across entire ocean basins to the exact beaches where they hatched decades earlier, guided by magnetic signatures imprinted on their nervous systems as hatchlings scrambling toward the sea. Deeper still, to the midnight bathypelagic zone between 1 and 4,000 meters, where no sunlight had ever penetrated in Earth's entire history. Here lived the sea pig, a species of deep-sea sea cucumber with a pink, swollen, almost comical appearance, using tube-like feet to amble across the abyssal plain in search of marine snow. The constant, gentle drizzle of organic debris falling from the sunlit world above, dead plankton, fecal pellets, discarded mucus nets, the remains of creatures that lived and died in the light. This snow was the primary energy source for most deep-sea ecosystems, a slow rain of sustenance connecting surface and abyss. And when a whale died, a leviathan that might have sung across oceans for 80 years, and its massive carcass sank through the layers to these crushing depths, it created an oasis of staggering abundance called a whale fall. For decades, specialized communities would bloom around the bones. First scavengers like hagfish and sleeper sharks consuming the soft tissue, then bone-eating worms with no mouths or digestive systems that relied on symbiotic bacteria to extract lipids from the skeleton, and finally chemosynthetic bacteria, forming the base of a food web that could persist for half a century, entire ecosystems flowering around the remains like mourners at a grave, transforming death into decades of life. And then the vents. Hydrothermal vents emerged from the seafloor like alien cathedrals. Black smokers and white smokers, spires of mineral deposits surrounding fissures were superheated. Mineral-rich water jetted into the freezing darkness at temperatures exceeding 400 degrees Celsius, yet not boiling due to the immense pressure. These were chemosynthetic ecosystems, where life derived energy not from sunlight, but from chemicals. Hydrogen sulfide transformed into organic compounds by specialized bacteria through chemosynthesis. A process as fundamental to these communities as photosynthesis was to surface life. Giant tube worms clustered around the vents in dense forests, their crimson plumes filtering chemicals from the turbulent water, while their bodies, lacking digestive systems entirely, relied completely on symbiotic bacteria living within a specialized organ called the trophosome. These worms could grow over 6 feet long, swaying in the current like underwater wheat, thriving in conditions of extreme heat, pressure, and toxicity that would kill most surface life instantly. A testament to life's tenacity, its willingness to find footholds in the most hostile environments imaginable. Ilara's descent slowed as she approached the abyssal plain, that vast, flat expanse covering much of the ocean floor between 4,000 and 6,000 meters deep, a desert of fine sediment stretching beyond sight. She thought of mangrove forests, the superhero ecosystems thriving in the delicate interface between land and sea across tropical and subtropical coastlines. Their tangled, stilt-like roots formed impenetrable nurseries where juvenile fish, crabs, and shrimp found refuge from predators. Their complex architecture filtering pollutants and sediments from terrestrial runoff before they could reach sensitive coral reefs offshore, and their dense root mats protecting shorelines from erosion and storm surges with a resilience no human-engineered seawall could match. Mangroves were guardians of the threshold, just as the deep sea guarded Earth's final frontier, both realms operating on principles of connection rather than separation. A shape materialized in the darkness ahead, a colossal squid, its body a study in deep-sea adaptation, its eyes the largest in the entire animal kingdom. measuring up to 10 inches in diameter, capable of detecting the faintest bioluminescent signals in absolute blackness, perhaps even the silhouette of a sperm whale hunting above. Nearby, a viperfish hung motionless in the water column, its needle-like teeth protruding from a mouth that could unhinge to swallow prey larger than itself, a necessary adaptation in this food-scarce realm where meals might be weeks apart. Life here was a study in extremes. The Mariana Trench plunged nearly 36,000 feet deep to the Challenger Deep. Yet even there, in pressures exceeding 1,000 atmospheres, life persisted. Supergiant amphipods scavenging the depths, snailfish gliding through trenches, and microbial communities thriving within rocks themselves, finding energy in chemical reactions between seawater and Earth's mantle. The ocean's depth was not emptiness but fullness, not void but abundance of a different order. She thought of the ocean's quiet generosity to the planet above, a generosity rarely acknowledged. Phytoplankton, microscopic plants and cyanobacteria drifting in sunlit waters, produced approximately half of Earth's oxygen through photosynthesis, making every second breath we take a gift from the sea, a debt we repay with warming waters and acidification. Kelp forests, among the most productive ecosystems on Earth, could grow up to 2 feet per day under ideal conditions, forming underwater jungles that sheltered sea otters, rockfish, abalone, and countless invertebrates in their towering, swaying fronds. Sea otters themselves were ecosystem engineers of the highest order, using rocks as tools to crack open shellfish, a rare example of tool use among marine mammals, and by controlling sea urchin populations that would otherwise overgraze kelp forests into barren urchin barrens. They protected those very underwater jungles, maintaining balance through appetite and intelligence. Yet the ocean bore wounds invisible to casual observation. It had absorbed approximately 30% of human-emitted carbon dioxide since the Industrial Revolution, buffering the atmosphere from even more extreme warming at great cost to itself. This absorption triggered ocean acidification, a gradual lowering of seawater pH that reduced the availability of carbonate ions, the essential building blocks corals, oysters, clams, and pteropods needed to construct their calcium carbonate shells and skeletons. Some laboratory experiments showed pteropod shells, those delicate, translucent sea butterflies that form a crucial link in polar food webs, beginning to dissolve in acidified waters within 48 hours, their intricate architecture crumbling like sugar in rain. The chemistry of the sea was shifting beneath our feet, a silent crisis unfolding in the deep, its consequences rippling upward through food webs toward our own plates and livelihoods. A Portuguese man-o-war drifted past on an unseen current. Not a single organism, but a colony of specialized polyps working in perfect concert. Some modified for flotation, the gas-filled sail. Others for feeding, tentacles armed with potent nematocysts, reproduction. Or defense, a superorganism demonstrating that individuality itself might be a fluid concept in the ocean's imagination. Nature's collaborations were endless and ingenious. Seahorses, unique among fish, saw males carry fertilized eggs in specialized brood pouches on their tails, providing oxygen and nutrients until giving birth to fully formed, miniature young, a reversal of parental roles that still delighted Alara after all these years. The blue whale, largest animal ever known to exist in Earth's history, reached lengths exceeding 100 feet and weighed as much as 200 tons, yet fed almost exclusively on some of the ocean's smallest creatures, krill, filtering up to 4 tons daily through baleen plates made not of bone but of keratin, the same protein composing human hair and nails. Dolphins painted detailed soundscapes with echolocation clicks, emitting focused beams of sound that bounced off objects and returned to their lower jaws, allowing them to see with acoustics in complete darkness, discerning not just shape and distance but texture and internal structure, a perception so rich it might constitute a form of synesthesia unknown to human senses. She remembered the coelacanth, a lobe-finned fish thought extinct for 65 million years alongside the dinosaurs until miraculously rediscovered off the coast of South Africa in 1938. A living fossil with fleshy, limb-like fins that hinted at the evolutionary leap from sea to land, a creature unchanged while continents drifted and mountains rose and fell. The narwhal's tusk, once traded by Vikings as unicorn horn and believed to possess magical properties, was actually an elongated left canine tooth containing over 10 million nerve endings that might function as a sensory organ, detecting changes in water temperature, pressure, and salinity, a biological instrument for reading the Arctic environment. Electric eels, technically a knife fish, not a true eel, could generate shocks exceeding 600 volts from specialized cells called electrocytes, stunning prey or deterring predators in the murky Amazonian waters they called home. Some jellyfish species, particularly Turritopsis dohrnii, appeared biologically immortal under laboratory conditions, capable of reverting from their sexually mature medusa stage back to their juvenile polyp stage after reproduction or injury, cycling backward through their life history like time travelers refusing mortality's finality. The ocean contained approximately 230,000 described marine species, though scientists estimated the true number exceeded 2 million, with millions more microorganisms yet to be cataloged, particularly in the deep sea, where less than 5% of the seafloor had been explored in any detail, where every submersible dive revealed new species, new behaviors, new mysteries. Coral reefs, those magnificent animal-built structures, were visible from space, the largest biological constructions made by living organisms on our planet, rivaling human cities in complexity, though built without consciousness or blueprint. Yet they faced existential threats not from natural causes, but from our own making. Warming waters triggering mass bleaching events, acidification weakening their skeletal foundations, pollution smothering their polyps, and destructive fishing practices reducing their complexity to rubble. But tonight was not for worry. Tonight was for wonder. Elara felt herself rising now, the pressure easing, colors returning to the world like memories surfacing from deep sleep. Lanternfish, small, abundant fish with light organs along their bodies, began their nightly migration upward, joining billions of other organisms in the largest daily vertical movement of biomass on Earth. Under cover of darkness, this entire community ascended toward surface waters to feed on plankton under relative safety, then retreated to depth by dawn to avoid visual predators, a pulse beating in Earth's circulatory system, a rhythm older than humanity. This vertical migration, repeated every night across all oceans, transported carbon from surface to depth, a biological pump helping regulate Earth's climate in ways we were only beginning to understand. She broke the surface gently, not with a gasp, but with a sigh of recognition. Stars pricked the velvet sky above, their light having traveled years or centuries to reach this moment, this meeting of sea and sky. Somewhere in the distance, a humpback whale breached. Its massive body, 40 tons of grace and power, momentarily defying gravity before crashing back into the sea with a sound like continents shifting, a percussive exhalation that sent spray glittering in the starlight. The ocean exhaled with her, waves lapping gently against imaginary shores. All those facts, the calcium carbonate skeletons built by polyps no larger than pinheads, the golden zooxanthellae trading sunlight for shelter, the parrotfish beaks scraping algae in necessary balance, the clownfish mucus granting immunity to venom, the three forms of symbiosis structuring community, the cleaner shrimp's trusted stations, the gelatinous bodies adapted to crushing pressure, the enormous eyes gathering photons in perpetual twilight, the red camouflage vanishing where red light cannot reach, the transparent bodies dissolving into water columns, the bioluminescent bacteria farmed in specialized organs, the anglerfish lures mimicking vulnerability, the counterillumination erasing silhouettes, the octopus neurons distributed through arms that taste the world, the whale songs traveling hundreds of miles through sound channels, the migration spanning hemispheres with magnetic precision. The sea turtle homing instincts crossing oceans to natal beaches, the sea pigs ambling across abyssal plains, the marine snow connecting surface and depth. The whale falls creating decades-long oases, the hydrothermal vents hosting chemosynthetic life, the tube worms thriving without digestive systems. The mangrove roots protecting coastlines and nurturing nurseries, the colossal squid eyes detecting faintest lights, the viperfish jaws unhinging for rare feasts. The Mariana Trench extremophiles thriving at crushing pressures, the phytoplankton gifting us every second breath, the kelp forests growing 2 feet daily, the sea otters using tools and protecting ecosystems, the ocean absorbing our carbon at great cost, the acidification dissolving shells in days. The Portuguese Mano war colonies demonstrating fluid individuality, the seahorse fathers carrying and birthing young, the blue whales filtering krill through keratin baleen, the dolphin echolocation painting acoustic worlds, the coelacanth surviving 65 million years unchanged, the narwhal tusks sensing environmental shifts, the electric eels generating 600-volt shocks, the immortal jellyfish cycling backward through time, the lanternfish abundance driving vertical migrations, the coral reefs visible from space, yet covering less than 0.1% of ocean floor. All of it settled into her bones like sediment settling on the seafloor after a storm. Not as separate facts, but as a single, breathing truth. The ocean did not hurry. It had existed for 4 billion years. Witnessing the first stirrings of life in hydrothermal vents, the colonization of land by plants and animals, the rise and fall of dinosaurs, the emergence of humans with our brief, brilliant, troubled consciousness. It held memory in its currents, the Gulf Stream carrying warmth from tropics to Europe, the Antarctic circumpolar current isolating a continent in ice, the wisdom of depths where pressure and darkness had forged life forms stranger than fiction. And tonight, it offered not answers but rest, not solutions but solace. She thought of the first time she'd held a starfish as a child, its rough texture and 5-fold symmetry feeling like a secret message from the deep. She thought of her mentor, Dr. Eris Thorne, who'd taught her that marine biology wasn't about collecting specimens, but about listening to the rhythm of tides, the language of light and darkness, the slow patience of coral growth. The ocean doesn't give up its secrets to those in a hurry, he'd said, his hands stained with iodine from dissections, his eyes holding the calm of deep water. It reveals itself only to those willing to sink below the surface noise, to descend into wonder. She'd spent her life learning that lesson, and tonight, in this liminal space between waking and sleep, she finally understood it not as knowledge, but as belonging. A current carried her gently toward a kelp forest, swaying in the moonlight. Each frond a ribbon of life hosting snails and shrimp and juvenile rockfish. She drifted through the canopy, the kelp brushing against her like benevolent giants, their holdfasts gripping the rocky bottom with tenacious grip. Somewhere below, a sea otter floated on its back, a rock resting on its chest as it cracked open a clam, a small, perfect moment of tool use and contentment. The otter looked up, its whiskered face catching the moonlight, and for a heartbeat their eyes met across species and element, a silent acknowledgement passing between them before it returned to its meal, unbothered by her presence. Further out, beyond the continental shelf, the water deepened into true blue. Here swam the open ocean wanderers, the leatherback sea turtles with their leathery shells and migrations spanning entire ocean basins, the blue sharks gliding with effortless grace, the flying fish launching themselves from the surface in silver arcs to escape predators below, and in the distance, the spout of a sperm whale, a deep diver that could plunge over 7,000 feet in search of giant squid, holding its breath for over an hour in a physiological feat that still astonished physiologists. These were the ocean's nomads, creatures without fixed address, whose home was the water itself, whose borders were defined not by coastlines, but by currents and temperature gradients. Alara sank again, not downward but inward, into the cellular memory of the sea. She felt the pulse of phytoplankton dividing in sunlit waters, each microscopic division a breath given to the atmosphere. She felt the slow accretion of coral skeletons, century upon century building reefs that would shelter generations of fish long after she was gone. She felt the whale fall settling onto the abyssal plain, its death becoming a cradle for new life, a testament to the ocean's fundamental truth. That endings are always beginnings in disguise, that decay feeds creation, that nothing is ever truly lost but only transformed. The pressure increased around her, not as threat but as embrace. At 3,000 meters, the water temperature hovered just above freezing, yet life persisted in forms both strange and beautiful. The gulper eel with its enormous, loosely hinged mouth capable of swallowing prey larger than itself. The Dumbo octopus with ear-like fins undulating gracefully through the darkness. The anglerfish female with her bioluminescent lure dangling before needle-sharp teeth. These were not monsters but marvels, perfectly adapted to their world, their forms shaped by pressure and darkness into something alien, yet entirely natural. They asked nothing of her but witness, and she gave it freely. A memory surfaced then, not of data or discovery, but of a single evening on a research vessel off the coast of Monterey. She'd been 28, exhausted from 12-hour shifts sorting plankton toes, when a pod of Risso's dolphins appeared alongside the ship at dusk. They rode the bow wave with effortless joy, leaping and spinning in the fading light, their scarred bodies telling stories of squid battles and social bonds. One dolphin broke from the group and swam directly toward her where she stood at the railing. It stopped just meters away, rolled onto its side, and looked up at her with an eye that held intelligence and curiosity and something else, recognition, perhaps, of another conscious being sharing this brief moment on the planet's skin. It stayed for 10 seconds, then turned and rejoined its pod, disappearing into the darkening sea. She'd wept then, not from sadness but from the overwhelming sense of connection, of being seen across the gulf between species. That moment had sustained her through funding cuts and academic politics and the slow grief of watching reefs bleach year after year. It was why she returned to the water again and again, not for data, but for dialogue. Now, in this dreamscape descent, she understood that the ocean had been speaking all along. Not in words, but in rhythms, in light, in pressure, in the slow pulse of life persisting against all odds. It spoke in the vertical migration of lanternfish, in the magnetic navigation of sea turtles, in the symbiotic dance of coral and algae, in the whale song traveling through deep sound channels. We had simply forgotten how to listen, our ears attuned to the noise of our own making. But here, in the space between waking and sleep, the noise fell away and the ocean's voice emerged, not loud, but deep, a resonance felt in the marrow rather than heard by the ear. She rose once more toward the surface, drawn by a soft luminescence ahead. A bay opened before her, sheltered by headlands, its waters calm and clear. Moonlight filtered down in silver shafts, illuminating a bed of eelgrass where seahorses clung with prehensile tails, their bodies perfectly camouflaged among the swaying blades. A mother octopus guarded her eggs in a rocky crevice, her body slowly wasting as she refused to leave her brood even to feed, a sacrifice that would end with her death shortly after they hatched, her life given completely to the next generation. Nearby, a garden eel colony stood upright in the sand like a field of swaying flowers, retreating into burrows at her approach before cautiously re-emerging. This was the ocean's true gift, not its grandeur alone, but its intimacy, the way life persisted in quiet corners as well as dramatic depths, the way a single square meter of seagrass could shelter hundreds of species, the way a tide pool contained entire worlds in miniature. We looked to the abyss for mystery, but mystery lived in the shallows too, in the hermit crab trying on shells, the anemone retracting at a shadow, the barnacle extending feathery legs to filter feed as the tide returned. Alara floated on her back in the bay's calm center, the water supporting her completely. Above, the Milky Way arched across the sky. its ancient light mingling with the bioluminescent sparkle of dinoflagellates, stirred by her slightest movement. She was neither sinking nor rising now, but suspended, in water, in time, in wonder. The facts she had carried all her life, the 50 truths about polyps and pressure, symbiosis and song, migration and metamorphosis, no longer felt like knowledge to be possessed, but like connections to be honored, threads in a vast web where she was not separate but participant. Sleep came then not as an ending, but as a deepening, a final descent into rest as natural as a whale diving into the deep. Her breathing slowed to match the rhythm of waves on distant shore. Her thoughts, once sharp and distinct, softened into the fluid logic of dreams, images of coral cities and whale songs, of bioluminescent constellations and mangrove roots, all flowing together into a single, breathing whole. And somewhere in the deep, life continued its ancient work. Polyps building skeletons grain by grain, whales singing across ocean basins, tube worms swaying at hydrothermal vents, phytoplankton dividing in sunlit waters, sea turtles navigating by magnetic fields, lanternfish beginning their nightly ascent. The ocean did not sleep. It breathed. It pulsed. It remembered. And in its remembering, it held her, held all of us, as gently as water holds light, as patiently as stone holds time. Good night.